What's going on, everybody? It's me. It's the BEAST. That's right. It's SirToks the Beast here doing something different. I've been doing podcasting for a while, and I said, you know what? There's some interesting people out there that I want to talk to on a one-to-one basis. So why not bring that podcast world to the Unleashed platform? So here I am with my first guest. His name is SGN, also known as Sim Gaming Network. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to do this.
You
It's
know,
gonna be fun.
I've been watching you for a few years now. Again, I've been sitting in the shadows, and I've been learning. I think you were the first person I took your sliders from and took it seriously, and how it affected the game made it so much fun for me. And as we get into this, you're gonna hear me kind of what's the word, uh balance the two between the comp and the sim world. So we're definitely going to touch on that. Now, first off, what really got you into what you're doing right now, or explain what you do anyways first.
Yeah, it was a funny little story of how it happened. So, um, I discovered this website back in 2008 called Operation Sports, and previous to my discovery of this site, I played sports video games, if we're being frank, the wrong way. I cheesed. I whatever I could do to win, like in Madden, I didn't really use sliders, and I had a goal of 300 yards passing with my quarterback, 100 yards rushing with my running back, 100 yards receiving with my wide receiver was the main thing. When I played NBA 2K, I did things like spamming and abusing pick and roll and, things like that. I just really did not play realistically. I just wanted to rebuild teams and win. And then when I discovered Operation Sports and I started, reading threads on sliders and stuff for these games, it kind of just, I had the light bulb moment like, you know what? Yeah, I should be trying to play these games realistically. And so it was a slow progression for me. It was a slow progression to playing the game more realistically. It was NBA 2K11 where I first switched to the broadcast camera. Previously, I played 2K camera like a lot of people do. And I slowly but surely with Madden and stuff like that started playing a little bit more realistically there. And I made a YouTube channel and uploaded my very first clips when I started working on sliders. I think it was for Madden 13. I think it was a long time. I just uploaded some clips because I started to post my sliders on Operation Sports, and I made clips. At the time, the YouTube channel was only to show what I was working on. So it was very infrequent. Anyone who goes and looks at my YouTube channel, and if they go sort videos, to the oldest, you'll see like long gaps, like a year or so in between footage. It'd go from Madden to at 2K15. I posted some clips. It became a lot easier when PS4 launched and you could just instantly upload. But I used it as a tool to show off my gameplay that I was working on. And I did this for several years on Operation Sports. I'd post everything. And basically what happened is I had a year on Operation Sports with NBA 2K where my sliders had over 400,000 thread views, which is a lot. Especially, back then when the platform was a lot more popular. They wrote an article the following year saying the most popular slider creator for, I don't remember what NBA 2K it was, has returned, and they promoted my slider set. And that's when I kind of got the idea of like, what if I was able to turn these thread views into YouTube views? And that's kind of how it spurred I'm already making videos showing gameplay. What if I just made videos for sliders? And I started doing that. I would release on Operation Sports and YouTube video. And I kind of progressed with that for a couple years until I just completely abandoned posting over there completely.
Wow. So okay, with that being said, which video kind of gave you that welcome, I'm here moment? Which one was it that kind of said, okay, yeah, everybody's going to come to me now I'm the new slider guy. Which was the video? What game and what video was it?
So it was NBA 2K. NBA 2K is what kind of got my channel going. Um, and it happened during COVID, particularly during the lockdowns, whatever you want to call it. It was like April of 2020. Like nobody was going outside. We had people were staying inside. And a video that I had launched months prior for NBA 2K for the best My League is what it was called at the time. My League setup just kind of blew up. And to this day, it has the most views of any video I've ever dropped. That's the video that got me to 1,000 subscribers, which is what you need to become monetized on YouTube. That's the video that did that for me. That's the video that got me my watch hours to become monetized. So that hit 100,000 views again, and I had no subs during that time frame. And even though I have a lot more subscribers than that now, I have still to this day not come close to touching the success that video had.
Now that brings up a good point that I was going to make, is that I've always preached about people's success, and again, I'm not going to downplay anybody's success. What you do is amazing. Now, granted, and a lot of people don't want to admit it, timing is everything. I keep on telling people timing is everything. Now, it's funny how you said that 2K was the one that got you over the hump. I thought it was a Madden thing that got you over the hump, because again, I only really watched you for Madden, but you're telling me 2K. And then when you give me the time frame or the timeline you have, you're saying COVID is what blew up. Do you know what launched during COVID on Netflix? The Last Dance. Jordan's documentary of that last dance. So I'm putting 2 and 2 together. It's like, you know what? People are bored. They watch this amazing documentary and they say, I want to relive this. I want this. And then they go and search and start playing 2K. Because again, everybody who was everybody, man, woman, and child, were playing video games. That's why COD blew up. That's why 2K blew up. That's why a lot of games and a lot of leagues blew up, because there was nothing else to do. Sure enough.
I never even thought about that, but you're 100% accurate. That's when they dropped The Last Dance. They went early, and that's the same time frame that my 2K videos, and it wasn't just the My League video, my gameplay sliders, like every video that I had dropped for NBA 2K that fall, like, so we're talking 5 to 6 months earlier, they blew up during that time stretch. And I know you said that you thought it would be like a Madden or College Football video. What's hilarious is that 2K is what initially got me channel success. That's what got me recognized. That's where I met, a guy who's done so much for my channel with Pee Wee the Plug, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's basketball guy, and he's the one who started using my sliders for his NBA rebuilds and was always shouting me out, promoting me. I got a lot of growth from that. He told his cousin, who is massive, right? Kenny Beecham, right? And he used my slider set on a video, and that got me a ton of growth. So I owe a lot of my success to Pee Wee the Plug and what he did for me. And I was really known as a 2K channel for the longest time. That shifted around Madden 24.
All right. Okay. So now, so what made you switch or shift to Madden after the 2K success? Why didn't you stay with the 2K success?
Well, I still make the same 2K content that I've always done, and I was making the same Madden content back then that I'm making now. In fact, I was actually making a little bit more Madden content with the types of videos that I've kind of gotten away from the last couple of years. I don't think it's anything that I've done differently. What I think has happened is that 2K, once Next Gen launched, they introduced my NBA and from what was My League, and they haven't changed the mode since. And 2K's been pushing people more towards my career, towards their ultimate team, and they haven't done anything with my NBA. It has a lot of issues. Gameplay is great, but the actual core mode has its issues, and it's been untouched for several years. And so my views have coincidentally gone down on 2K. I think just because less people are playing that mode. And then more people are playing Madden instead and looking for franchise. And it's just been a crazy dynamic shift because I haven't stopped making content. I make the same content. It's just been a dynamic shift from viewership. And now Madden and college football dominate my views and engagement.
And you know what? Due to the new resurgence of college football coming back, I mean, they did leave us 2013 with the last installment of it being college football or NCAA 14, and that was probably it was legendary, right? It was legendary for that time. A lot of people weren't really big on the dollar signs and the corporate world that it was the NFL, and a lot of people loved the fact that it wasn't big names that they were trying to play with. They were just trying to grassroots get their favorite team to the national championships, and that's why I think a lot of people were kind of pulled towards NCAA. Now that it has come back, man, oh man, it is it is blown up. I didn't realize. Again, I played a lot of Madden and I played a lot of 2K, even some of the MLB stuff as well too. I wasn't big on the college. I played probably 12, 13, and 14. And again, I'm originally in Canada, so I don't see as much college football as most do. So when I saw it, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's it. But when I heard it coming back and the buzz that everybody was thinking about it, I'm like, really? So I had to jump in. And when I jumped in, I was blown away of what how big college football is in the US. And I believe you can probably agree that it is probably even bigger than the NFL. Yes?
I think in the sense that it had been gone for. So what helped college football be as successful, college football, especially 25, was that it had that long absence, right? Just like, and again, I know you're in Canada, so I don't know if this correlation will make sense for you, but for other American viewers, I think it will. I equate it similar to McDonald's bringing back the McRib. So every time McDonald's brings back the McRib, it always is gone for a couple years. People just go crazy for it, right? And it's strategic because why wouldn't you just leave it on your menu all the time? They do it strategically because it goes crazy. So you had 11 years of people not having a college football game, and I don't think anyone would have predicted that it was going to be the number one selling sports game of all time. That I think blew expectations from EA away. I definitely don't think that was predicted. And then it followed up with a very strong 26, and the continuation is there. And the game, it has differences between Madden, and it can appeal to people who aren't interested or like the NFL or what Madden's doing. They have the alternative there. And I think, you hit it on the head when you brought up the return of college football, college sports in general. A lot of people have kind of died out on NBA 2K's franchise mode, right? But we're getting a new college basketball game from NBA 2K, and college basketball is hard. College sports in general, it's harder to sell the extra monetization, the ultimate team, the things like that. College football doesn't make the money from ultimate team that Madden does, but people play the heck out of it because of dynasty. I have a feeling college basketball is going to do the same thing. It's going to bring a lot of people back to playing video game basketball that stopped playing 2K because of the already mentioned reasons. So I'm really excited for NBA or college, whatever they're going to call it, to return as well. I think it's going to do crazy numbers also.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. Again, and because of the success of college football, I myself will have to now indulge and get into the college hoops and figure out how they do dynasty. Because again, now we are kind of evolving. Last time nothing about NILs and so forth and forth that. Now we're here with NILs and everything is just there's so many different parts and stems and limbs that make college football understandable. People will now understand the game of college football now because they know based on playing the game about NILs, about transfers, about committing, verbal commits, hard commits, different schools. There's some schools I've never even heard of, but because of college
Right.
football, I'm like, wow, really? They have this team there, or this is located here? And I mean, it has
And there's
educated
even
me.
more in basketball. There's even more in basketball.
Exactly, exactly. Again, now before we go into that, let's talk about sim football because again, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
your
yeah.
bread and butter. Sim
Yep.
football is what you're trying to create. Now, what separates sim football from just playing the college football or the Madden football? Explain.
So yeah, so a lot of people confuse my name, my sim gaming network, with a person who creates content for just watching the games play. Right? They think sim and they think, oh, you're just watching the games play out, or you're just simulating games, and that's very unfortunate. Because it couldn't be further from the truth. The majority of my content is for users to play against the CPU. The sim stands for playing it, like a simulation, as far as realistic as possible. So when you're playing against the CPU, you're getting a realistic outcome, and the CPU is providing realistic um you know a presence on the field, and how they defend you or attack you, things like that. And so that's the main thing is, people need to stop necessarily associating. Sim can have lots of different meanings, but they always just jump to CPU versus CPU and user instead of user versus CPU. But the bread and butter is the user versus CPU, and that's what I play the most of.
Most definitely, most definitely. Again, um, with that being said, you're right. I've again since I touched on your sliders, and I've played the game of football, and I know how to a point the game is played on the field in the training camps and so forth. I've seen it, I've done it. So when it came to you putting out sim style football sliders, it's pretty much trying to get you as close to a Saturday or a Sunday of you watching what you're going to watch. And so the decisions that are being made are more realistic rather than more arcade. It's not more so like you were saying, playing cheese of trying to get the most points, trying to get the most yards and so forth. It's the game of chess. It's the way you are going to attack, counteract, counterattack, and keep on moving. That's the ebb and flows of football or of basketball or anything like that. You want to make it as close as possible because that's where we play the game. We watch football because we see two Goliaths going at it and we want to see who wins. So that's what we want to see, or we want to replicate on our own. So again, I definitely thank you for that because that definitely, again, it has changed my outlook. And I stand by sliders a lot because for some reason I don't know why, but everybody thinks out of the box the game is playable and it's perfect as is. Yet there's still a whole bunch of things that are causing the game to play the way it is because again, a lot of people know how to manipulate the coding
Mm-hmm.
of the game
And in
and
animations, and
it,
manipulate animations, and stuff like
exactly,
that as well.
exactly.
And they'll do
So
it.
exactly.
One thing I
So
want to touch on though is
mhm.
is I think, we kind of pointed, you were expanding upon the see what, have it play out how you see on Sunday, and on Saturday as well. And I used to chase box scores. Like I wanted to like I used to when I've changed up my methodology and how I make sliders the last couple of years. And in my opinion, it's been for the better. But before, I used to make sliders the same way that everybody else did, and I was chasing box score stats, right? So you'd have realistic yards per carry, completion percentage, average yards per attempt. I was chasing only box score stats. And instead, I have transitioned to I need to chase the why did this happen and does it make sense? And I realize that if you can chase something that can be explained and it looks and feels natural, then the stats actually come with it. And you have to allow for outliers. You have crazy outlier games that happen all the time. I mean, Daniels as a rookie had 2 games where he completed 90% completion rate. But if that happened in Madden, what would everyone be doing? Right? They'd be complaining, robo quarterback, robo guy. And I understand, there's definitely robo quarterback, right? There's a reason that term exists. But if we can explain why that quarterback had a game where he completed a high percentage of his passes, and you can explain it away, then it makes sense. Then there's, and if when you, and it's okay. But if there's certain instances where you're like, we can't explain that. There, you look at that clip, you're breaking it down. He shouldn't have made that throw. He shouldn't have known that was there. He is doing X, Y, Z, no matter what we do, and that's where it feels off. Then you'd say, okay, that's where there's an issue, right? And so, I think transitioning away from just chasing box scores has been a big game changer.
I do definitely do agree. Now, do you think the sim community is growing or shrinking when it comes to all sports gaming right now?
I honestly, I think it's starting to grow because I think people are starting to get sick of the greed. And I'm going to say greed because I don't know any other word to use for it. But if you look back to how Ultimate Team for Madden and how my team for NBA 2K got started, and then not only that, the my career mode. I don't know if you're familiar with NBA 2K. If with my career, these are all modes that you can, of course, play for free, but you definitely are at a disadvantage unless you spend a little money. But if you go back in time and look at, how much money you used to need to spend versus how much you need to spend now, the only word that comes to mind is greed. And they keep changing these programs and making it more and more almost impossible for people to play the games no money spent. And so I think that is starting to push people away from those modes and back to the offline modes where they just need their initial purchase and they can play the game and have a lot of fun. I mean, 2K I feel like has definitely dropped on the sim side just because the company itself isn't putting anything in to the franchise mode. But on the Madden front, I feel like that community has actually grown. The reason I have started to take over or for my channel, Madden has started to take over along with college football, NBA 2K is because people are starting to play those modes more than they used to. And that's because of their frustrations with the direction of those modes and how they're going. And so it's a win for me.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. I do believe the comp way of playing things, a lot of people are getting sick of it. Just because again, it's you're pretty much mirroring what you see people do in YouTube videos and games you play offline and so forth, and it just doesn't become fun anymore. There's no it factor. There's no what if this happens or that happens. No, because you're going to be getting the almost exact result because you're doing the exact same thing that breaks code, that breaks the coverage, that does all this stuff. So I definitely understand and agree with what you're saying there. Now, with that being said, would you be giving yourself, say, house rules when it comes to you playing the game, or are your sliders good enough to do what you want to do to give you the results that you want by just playing and calling a football game?
So for in Madden and college football, I've had a couple. I've really had one house rule that I've incorporated, and I'm going to continue to incorporate it, and that's no user catching, and that's just because I want the players' ratings to matter. I don't want to have an impact on those ratings, which the user catch it overrides what the player would have probably done in that situation. I want those tendencies and those player ratings to play out naturally. I don't want to override that. I definitely feel like I have an advantage when I do that over the CPU. I've never made it a house rule, but I personally do not hot route. at the line of scrimmage. I very, very rarely do, because I felt like the CPU did not have a counter. They weren't really making adjustments to hot routes or things like that. So I had a huge advantage there. I might, and I'm curious your opinion on this because I know you played the beta as well. With the huge improvements to defense, I might start hot routing in 27 for both college football and Madden. I might start doing that one. I'll still not do the user catching, but hot routing I think is going to make a return for me.
I definitely agree. I think with the beta coming out and the emphasis on defense, yeah, uh, you need to be a bit more knowledgeable when it comes to calling plays. You can't just again uh, use a stock use a stock play and think it's going to work and give you the results you have all the time, especially with the all the different looks that defenses can give you. So, you know what? This new installment is going to really test people's knowledge of the game of football in terms of acting and reacting to what they see on the field. And then hopefully that the new game is true to what it's been, saying in terms of, for instance, linebackers or even any type of defense looking for work and actually following the premise is that if they're in a bubble zone or whatnot, they're going to follow the person who goes through their zone, right? We want to see the act and react of certain defenders being aggressive on the field or even stepping off and letting these guys play underneath, let them catch underneath, things like that. So again, I do think that this game is definitely going to be the game that challenges people to play better. The 2025 version, welcome back to football type of thing. Everybody got the gist of it, and that was a bit exploited for sure. 26 came out again. It was just really a new paint job, some new graphics and so forth. A few changes on the gameplay side, but again, not too much. You still see the same type of thing going on. So again, I do believe that EA saw this and went to town and kind of gave the people what they wanted. They wanted a challenge. They didn't want. I mean, I play games, or even sorry, I'm in a lot of online dynasty games and so forth, and I see players playing the CPU beating them 72 to whatever. I'm like, that happens on a whim. I don't know, once every probably
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years, sure, but to do it every single game and to have perfect numbers or close to almost perfect numbers, highly unlikely. So
And
I
they'll
do
do it with a
believe
team that's rated pretty low against a
ex-
higher rated team. That's the thing.
exactly.
If they're playing with Ohio State versus Delaware or something like that, okay, I'm fine with it. But you'll see these people doing rebuilds with very low rated teams, and they'll go play these high rated teams, and they'll just beat them into the ground. And I'm like, that that can't be
Yeah.
fun for you, right?
Exactly. I mean, what's the point if you can pick any team and just torch them, and all of a sudden you have three natties in a row? Is that really fun? There's no challenge there, and that's not realistic. Because again, Tulane is not going to win three back-to-back-to-back national championships. It's not happening. But again,
Right.
people do it. Okay, to each their own. I get it. They're in it for their own reasons. Fine, sure, I get it and I respect it. But again, with the football mind in me, the football person in me, I would like the challenge. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've ran a dynasty with a few friends and some people, and I've never won a natty. I've been in the playoffs multiple times, and I'm okay with that. My skills and my coaching, I can understand that, right? But there is a game within the game, right? There is the recruiting, there is the managing of players and so forth. All the other aspects and intricate details make it fun for me. I might not win every game, fine, but
Mm-hmm.
the process is what I enjoy. Sure, I would like to win, but again, it's not the end all to be all for me. It's the process to get
Yeah.
there,
And I
right?
think what people need to remember when they play college football is in Madden, your goal is ultimately to win a championship, right? College football, there's 138 teams now. The goal for the majority of those teams is not to win a championship. It's simply impossible. Their goals are going to be to have winning records, maybe win their conference, like get a bowl game, win a bowl game. Those are considered very successful and almost championship-esque seasons for those programs, right? You have 138 teams. You can't have championship disparity. It's gonna hover around the same 20 to 25 teams, just like you have in pro sports. And that's just the way it is. And I think people forget that. They think that if they don't win a championship, they were a failure as the program. No, if you can take a program, perfect example of this, James Madison. They were in the FCS, losing to North Dakota State, who ran the FCS for the last 15 years, right? And they did have a championship year in there, but they made the leap from FCS to FBS, and then they literally made the college football playoffs. Now, they got absolutely walked, but I can promise you, every single person who was part of that football department considered that a massively successful season. Massively successful. Because they made the jump from FCS, and in a couple short years later, they're literally in the college football playoffs in the FCS, at the FBS level. Mm-hmm. And that's a success for a program like James Madison. And I think people need to understand that you go into college football dynasty, rebuilding the team doesn't mean you won a championship. It means you took them from the depths of despair and brought them back to winning games, winning conference titles, and winning bowl games.
Definitely. So let's jump into the future of college football 27. Now that they've added a lot of, again, parts to it in terms of, say, for instance, the athletic director aspect, because again, you just made a specific and an amazing analogy there with James Madison doing so well. That is pretty much what this year's version is kind of helping you with now. Maybe your athletic director is saying, hey, you know what? Have a winning season. It's going to reward you for that. It's not going to expect you to win a natty first year. It's probably going to ask you to, hey, have a top 20, recruiting class, make it to a bowl. And it's the small steps that get you to that level. Do you think that's what was missing from this game? The actual back end, the backstories of all that.
That was 100% missing. And then obviously, the lack of NIL really hurt the game, because they brought in the same recruiting system that was in NCAA football 14 and 13, which again, people liked. It was familiar, but we saw very quickly it was way too easy to turn around a poor school and make them a big school, right? Way too easy. The NIL system, along with what you just explained, is going to make that process way more challenging. And I think that is what was needed. Again, you watch these guys who do these dynasty rebuilds, they were doing it way too quickly, way too easily. And that's not going to be the case anymore. You take a 1-star school, 2-star school, you're going to have to work your butt off to bring them to the upper echelon. 3-4 year turnarounds are not going to be the thing anymore. You're going to have to put in 10, 15, maybe 20 years. And I think that's fantastic. And I think that's going to honestly make people get more engaged and honestly drive more playtime on the game. Because if, it's one of those weird things, people will sit down and play a game and they'll enjoy it. And then once you hit I think that a good analogy for this is an RPG, right? When you're starting an RPG and you're a low level character, you want to grind to become powerful and strong, and you go through it. And then when you get to the point where you've ranked up your player enough to where you are powerful and strong, you suddenly don't have that desire to play anymore because there's no more challenge left. You know what I mean? But luckily with RPGs, normally it's designed to take a long time to do it. You have to put in some hours. You know what I mean? So in Dynasty, when you were able to just get it so quickly, it turned people off. They're like, all right, now I got to restart, or do something else. Like, it just turned people away and it made them just lose interest in, or they just knew that they were only going to have a 3 to 4 year investment in that program and they were going to be at the pinnacle. So I think it's going to actually create more engagement and more longevity. It's a fantastic change and I'm super excited about it.
Most definitely, most definitely. I think that RPG analogy is perfect because now, again, you are going to be building, just like I said, you're trying to build that character, that team to get to that unbeatable aspect. But again, it's not going to be as easy. So when I'm hearing people that are saying they're going to rebuild, I don't know, Akron, I'm like, if you play it right, you're going to be there for a while. I won't want to be interested of seeing you winning 3 national championships back to back to back in 4 seasons. That makes no sense. That means you really didn't really challenge yourself per se, or you've found a way to manipulate the game to get the results you want. That's not what I'm looking for.
You can go play on Akron and put on varsity difficulty, right? And although you might not have NIL money, right, it's a combination of NIL and other things. So you're gonna, if you win, you put the difficulty on varsity, and you suddenly get championship pedigree, and so like that, more players are gonna be interested in you because you're gonna have. There's still gonna be deal breakers in the game, right? And a lot of players have deal breakers, like be on TV, win national championships, pro chances of going pro. Winning accomplishes all of those, and so you're going to have more interest from players who will maybe take less money. Also, if you're winning national titles, your NIL money is going to go up. You know what I mean? So there's still ways that you can abuse it, and if people want to, they can. But if people are wanting for a realistic experience, they're not going to do that. And I do think there's not going to be any content creators who are going to go that route because they would get called out for it immediately.
Yeah. Again, we're not dumb. Us, the people know when you're legitimately playing the game the way it should be played versus just all of a sudden, you're the best player in the league. No, again, it's funny that way, but I get it. With that being said, there's a lot of things that college football has done that now Madden is implementing. What's the state of Madden now because of I wouldn't say competition, but it is competition. College football and Madden are not really competing each other because they're coming from the same organization, same company. But again, they are still feeding off each other. What's the state of Madden right now?
Not as good. So gameplay wise, obviously took a huge leap, just like college football. And so I think the gameplay part of Madden is going to be, it's right there with college football, right? It's going to be different gameplay just because it is a different style of game and it needs to be different. But
of course,
the overall quality is going to be just as good as college football this year. But college football has done things on a more sandbox level, a more realistic level. In my experience, I will explain for those who don't maybe understand what I'm talking about. So in college football, we'll start with the player abilities. They are tiered: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and I don't remember what the last one's called, but they have 5 of them.
Yeah.
Heisman. Yep. Thank you. They have 5 of those tiers, and the abilities are all percentage increases. So if you go through and you look at what each a player ability says it does, it says it's a percentage increase for something to happen. A percentage increase, bronze. I don't know what the names are off the top of my head. I never go look at them, I'll be honest. But there's definitely going to be one for pass rush. If a player has bronze, it'll be a slight increase to shedding a block for rushing the passer. And as you go silver, gold, etc., all it says is it increases that percentage for that to happen, which is, in my opinion, the correct way to do it. It's how NBA 2K does their badge system as well. It's all percentage increases. When you transition over to Madden, they've had abilities since Madden 20. The unfortunate thing is they don't do the abilities the realistic way that NBA 2K and college football do. The abilities, if you look at them in Madden, are very arcade and unrealistic. They have abilities that if it meets the criteria, the player cannot fumble the football. Player cannot throw an interception, can't be intercepted. No matter what, the DB cannot intercept it. Player meets the criteria, they can suddenly, miraculously throw the football an extra 20 yards down the field. Players, if they meet the criteria, will have perfect passing accuracy for all these various situations and stuff like that. I like to use the term absolutes. They are absolutes. You know that this is going to happen from this player. It's a guarantee, and there are no such things in life or in football, right? There's literally a movie made about this called Any Given Sunday. And so I think that it's really disappointing to see EA do it at such a perfect, damn near, I'm going to use the word perfect, like way for college football, and then be so off the mark with how they do the same thing in Madden. And then EA expanded upon it last year with coaching abilities, right? And coaching abilities are just as arcade as the player abilities in Madden. You pick a coaching ability and it gives players +7s to specific ratings, +5 for ratings, things like that just make the game very arcade and not set in realism. Whereas the opposite of that is college football doesn't have coaching ability loadouts that pick in loadout every week. They have instead adaptive AI. They have the aggressive versus conservative for offense and defense, and then they do have coaching ability skill tree, but those are things like for the motivator, for tactician, for those are things that just unlock. They're there all the time. You're not going in and picking which ones you want from week to week. And so they do it in a more balanced and realistic way. So that's where I think that the Madden franchise, the franchise aspect, isn't sitting as good as college football dynasty, because dynasty is going to be in a much more realistic sandbox place. Madden's is sitting in a much more arcade place. Gameplay is going to be fantastic, but unfortunately, franchise mode is going to be more arcade.
Do you think that because of that, maybe Madden might get a wake up call for the success of how college is doing, and maybe they'll revamp their franchise mode?
Nope, not at all. Because because they could have done it already, right? This is the third year of the college football being released, and college football released, and they had these abilities, and there was a couple of them that were overpowered, and they tuned them, which is good. The issue, if you have an overpowered ability, you can tune it. That's not a big deal. But the whole methodology of how those abilities function has been correct in college football and incorrect in Madden. And Madden has they've had the chance to change it for 26, and they had the chance to change it for 27, and they didn't. They doubled down when they did these coaching abilities, which aren't in college football, and made them arcade too. So you think about, they did the coach abilities and they did play sheets. And I know you know this, but you can literally grab play sheets in Madden for a coach that when you call plays in that play sheet, your players will have +7s to recognition, zone defense, whatever. And then you can also double down and do abilities that give the same positional group the same +7s, and essentially get +14 up to +21 play recognition, man coverage, zone coverage for your players. So if you have cornerbacks and safeties who are 80 zone coverage rating, you can essentially buff them to 100 with play sheets. Not realistic at all.
You're 100% right there. 100% right there. Okay, with that being said, what is a feature that should be added to each game immediately?
Feature that should be added to each game immediately. I will tell you, I feel like there's more that need to be added to Madden than college football. So if we're going to do one feature that could simultaneously be added to each game immediately, would be the return of coaching philosophies. Both games had this feature back in the day. You go fire up Madden 12, NCAA Football 12, coaching philosophies were in those games. And that's where your coach, you had your scheme, right? But this is where you could set how like run versus pass. This adjusted their play calls. Then you'd have the aggressive versus conservative, which again affected their play calling. But then they had it a step further. They had running back 1 versus 2, so you could set up how much they split carries. You had a bunch of stuff in there for the offense and the defense that each coach had that was uniquely set to them, and you as a user could go in and adjust it and change it. And I think that it was in both Madden and college football back in the day. They both need to be returned, brought back, and in a sense that we can go in and adjust it and change it. That'd be my number one thing that needs to come for both games.
Okay. I mean, I didn't realize it. Yeah. I mean, that's going way back too. That's going way back. That's something you don't really, I guess people forget a lot of the games, and the things that it did. Because again, I was watching your stream yesterday and you were playing, Madden 25, which was the Madden 2013, I believe.
Yep, it came out in 2013. It would have been Madden 14 had not the name for the anniversary been changed. Right.
So, and I was seeing that, and you were showing a lot of things that used to be, even the animations, the over the shoulder catch was changed, right? The way these guys were attacking, it's almost like they forgot they had these things in the game. I'm not sure why they don't keep them in the game and just make them evolve, because these things still happen. But it just looks like they thought that maybe the one hand catch should be the thing just because they saw it in a game, and they overdid it on a version that was just ridiculous. Like every single player was just doing a one hand catch. That's not realistic. When does that ever happen? You've seen it probably, yeah, but this doesn't happen on a regular basis. Sorry, but again, we'll wait for that to come. Hopefully it does come, and hopefully it changes. I'm just loving where it is right now in terms of the state of college football. Madden, again, I got the Madden, and if it wasn't for the sim league that you ran, which was really just a coach league, I wouldn't really be playing Madden. But now that all these intricate things are going to be placed into it, I might just fire up an offline dynasty and play that through and see how it goes. So then I can now be aware of what they're doing and be ready, and probably be a voice on what they should do come the next installment, because this is why they're making changes, is because people like yourself and other people that are playing the games and they're in the threads and commenting and making posts and making videos. This is why the game keeps on changing. Now, some people have bigger followings than some of us, so they'll definitely get some more pull. We here, this is why I'm doing the show. I mean, we want to get the word out there that, hey, we play this game too. We know a whole bunch of people that you've never heard of that are playing your game, that have insights, thoughts, ideas. The little people, we'll say, are the ones that definitely help Madden and college football go. With that being said, in terms of your content, from when you started to now, what has changed when it comes to your YouTube channel?
From when I started, so how I create that content has evolved over the years. I used to be exclusive, recording my content and editing it and uploading from my PlayStation. On PS4, I used Share Factory, and on PS5, it was Share Factory Studio. I did everything on my console, which made it easy and convenient, but also limited what I was able to do to an extent. Especially with types of videos I wanted to make and record, it got very challenging. I actually used to, before I made the switch to editing on my computer, what I would do is I would have my camera for my computer, and I would go in and I would click record, and then I would go through and talk on the game, and then I would take that footage, bring it into the console, and then I have to line up when I started talking to when I started the video so that the audio and my face and stuff would all match up. It was very complex. Now that I don't have to do that, I can actually just do everything through the PC and edit with CapCut. So I'd say the way I make my content has definitely changed. I would like to think that the quality of the videos has gotten improved because of that as well. audio quality, just transitions, overlays, things like that on the video. So, and also just learning the best way to present the information. I try to be very thorough I have a lot of information that I want to present when I make my slider videos. And because I've been doing this for as long as I have, I I tend to know what types of questions are going to be asked in the comments. And so I like to just answer those in the video. And the challenge with that is that can make the video long, and people don't like long. And then you get people complaining about the length of the video in the comment section. But then you also, when you try to make it shorter, have people complain that you could have talked about more things in the video. I literally have people complaining that I reference other videos for further in-depth information. In videos, I say, hey, go check this out if you want more in depth. And like, you're just promoting other videos. I'm like, no, I'm trying to save you 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go watch it. You can choose to.
Yep.
So, but trying to just figure that out, maximize the time and create more engagement to make sure people are wanting to stick around. I feel like I've gotten better at that.
Good. Now, again, you touched on this, is that a lot of people are not really engaging for the long form content. First off, what is your video sweet spot that you think that you can get a lot of your information out and retained? And do you kind of sway on the side of actual long, or are you trying to now go shorter in terms of what you're trying to produce out there?
So, I mean, being completely honest, I'm always trying to make my videos as short as possible. But when I say short as possible, I'm trying to hover around 10 to 15 minutes because, for most of them, right? There's a couple videos that I present information that there's just no reason they need to be that long, like audio settings, wear and tear, precipitation settings, profile delete videos. Those are all going to be naturally short. But for slider videos or XP sliders where I have a lot of information I need to present, my goal is to try to be that 10 to 15 minute mark. Has that ever happened? No, it's not, because I re-record 2 or 3 times. I can tell you right now, I did my beta reviews for Madden and College Football. I recorded each of them twice because I recorded the first one. I saw the length and I was like, this is way too long. I went on too long about things. I need to just re-record. And I re-recorded it and I shaved off like a minute. And at that point I realized clearly because I didn't have a script. I was just, following my list of topics.
Yeah.
I realized that I'm just being authentic and that people are going to have to take it for what it is. And I do that for the sliders too, man. I want to try to give the information, not talk too fast, not go too fast, but make sure I don't miss anything. So the goal is always 10 to 15 minutes, but my slider videos always end up being around 20.
Well, yeah, for what it's worth, I mean, I've watched multiple slider videos that you put out, and again, it's one thing to say what it does, but to go into detail to explain why, a lot of people don't have the patience for that. They just want the numbers and go. They just want to play. But again, me being a very big fan of the game and of sim style football, I want to know why it is what it is, and I can kind of look out for it. Because again, EA tends to throw out patches and fixes and so forth. So you're always changing things when things are broken. So you want to know that, hey, this is happening now. So now I would go visit your video, and then I'll see there's a new slider set. So I'm going to go watch the next video and see what was actually changed. And you'll reference the old video. Again, the people who really, really are fans of what you're doing will definitely appreciate a 15-minute video. If you go to 20 minutes, fine. It's because we know at the end of the whole video, we're getting our cake and we're eating it too, because this is what we're here for, right? So I definitely appreciate that.
I have a question for you, actually. So I know you're more college football since it came out. I'm assuming you played Madden. Obviously, before college football came out, you were playing Madden, correct?
Most definitely.
So my question for you is, and I don't know how long you've been using my slider set, but that's irrelevant. Starting with College Football 25 is when I made a shift to how I build my sliders. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question to you is I know you were using slider sets with Madden 24, 23, 22, right? And I made slider sets the way that everyone else did for those games. What were your thoughts when I first presented my new methodology on how I build sliders? I'm just curious for myself and whoever else may be watching. What were your thoughts when I first made that presentation of how I'm building sliders? And then also your first thoughts of hurrying it, and then when you actually put them in.
It's what I wanted. That's the thing. Like this is what I wanted. The new methodology is what I was looking for. Like the old way, it got the job done. It got the job done. That's what it did. Now you're getting the job done, but there's a reason behind why it's getting done. So you've now again evolved your slider making with reasoning on why, right? There's intricate, in-depth situations and factors that you're now putting into place because you're thinking. You're now thinking. You're not just putting out content because you're thinking on why. So yes, sliders might take a couple weeks, maybe a couple of months to get them perfect, but because you're putting in that time and you're understanding why things are happening, again, you is well, people who make sliders in general, they understand that it's just not a video game. Yes, it is a video game, but you're for the real gamers, you want to replicate what is being done on an actual football field. And because you're putting that into practice is why I love the way you're doing them now, because it makes sense. It's a logical situation. So now when you do put out your sliders right off the hop, I'm putting yours in and I'm testing and whatnot. I will then give you feedback. Now that I have a connected to you, I'll say, hey, this is what I saw. This is what's been going on. I'll give you that feedback because I know what your goal is to make it as real or as simulation as possible, right? And a lot of people don't like that because it takes away from what they're used to. A lot of people in the world today, whether it's video games, work, life, relationships, they hate change. They're so used to what they have because it was working. You changed on them, they think the game's crap, or they don't think that this is working, or this is not how it's meant to be played. I mean, that's not the case. Yes, you can play it your way for sure, but when you're talking about simulation, realistic stats, realistic playability, the sliders do so much more than just fix the game. It makes it more enjoyable. It makes it
So
more
I want to
enjoyable.
follow up. What was your thought though? Because my new methodology is I use auto subs
But I've been
for
using.
gameplay.
Yeah, I've been like once you said that,
No,
I'm like,
but
yeah,
like what I meant was before. I think I know myself included. I use auto subs to try to get like rotations, right?
right.
And then a lot of people, they see auto subs for gameplay and they immediately dismiss it, or they think it's tomfoolery, or like, what is your opinion after? Because
That
and maybe I'd like to think, and I'm not offended by this. I'd like to think that when you first saw he uses auto subs for gameplay, I would like to think your thought was this dude's crazy, because then I'd like to know if that is the truth, that you did think that, then you tried it though, like if that changed your mind, if you feel like there's actually something there.
But that's the thing. When you switch to auto subs, I switched and I got it. That's what I'm saying. I got it when you did that. So I understood why for gameplay because that's what I've been preaching since. Is that depth chart, auto subs, all these factors are what makes the game the way it is. You can't really play the game outside the box, and because people do, they're always going to get that result. Now you tell them switch their mindset and do this, and they're not enjoying it. They're not liking it because they're not used to change. When you made that change, I was all for it. I was all for it because I'm like, yeah, this makes sense, right? It takes the guesswork out. It takes the guesswork out. It actually makes sense when you do it. So that's why I've been a huge fan, and I respect what you do because it makes sense to me, and it makes sense to a lot of people, but they don't want to break what they're doing already because they have success, right? There's a lot of people who roll out, you know, that's their way. Now, if you change sliders where a quarterback who's not really great is not going to throw that dot rolling out to his right, he'll throw it to the stands. Yeah, that's going to happen sometimes, right? You're not going to have a guy who was a left-handed quarterback rolling out to the right and then throwing with his left, make a perfect pass. That's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. These are things that people are not used to, but because they're in video game mode, they're expecting it to happen, right? They're expecting to win every game. They don't want to lose, and they don't think they're going to lose. And when they do lose, they blame the game. But really and truly, if you tweak it enough, you'll understand why you're losing. You'll understand why results happen. So once you play the way the game should be played in terms of the game of football or the game of basketball or whatever sport you're playing, you'll understand why the results are why they are the way they are. So I've already implemented everything you've stated and done since day one. I saw the change. I've implemented it in my online dynasty. Some people are like, "Oh, why?" I'm like, "Well, listen, you'll see why." And sure enough, it's like second nature now. It's not a thing because they understand now. So once people understand the premise, it would be nothing. It'd be an afterthought. It'd be an afterthought after that. So yeah, I definitely enjoy again how your new methodology happens because again, it takes the guesswork out. It does for itself.
Awesome. No, I was just curious on that, right? Because it's different,
You have to, but again, the game is evolving, and again, maybe come 28, you might have to change it again because they've done something different. So everything has to be evolved. Because imagine you were doing the sliders now as the way you were doing it for 2013, you'd probably get a horrible experience because it's not the same game. It's not the same game. Different sliders. There's a whole bunch of different sliders. When they introduced wear and tear, I was like, yes, that happens.
Those are an animal, man. Those are an animal to figure out.
It is, but again, it's true because you'll have people playing a game and they'll be using and overusing a 99 speed running back. And he will continuously use that person 4 quarters, not even subbing him out, and no wear and no damage back in the day. Now, when you adjust sliders, if you get hit by that freaking 275-pound freaking linebacker, that's going to hurt. That's going to put you on your ass for a bit, right? That's going to keep you on the bench for a while. And the aftermath, the fact that they have season length wear and tear and career length wear and tear, bonus as well. Because again, there's levels to this. I mean, you can't just always run out and think you're 100%. No, it's not happening. That doesn't happen. Guys play hurt. Guys play tired. There's a lot of people who have lagging injuries that just won't go away. It's part of the game. And that's why I love the fact that they've put that now in the game. Again, because of everybody wanting arcade style football, they're not used to it. It is what it is. It is what it is. I enjoy it. So again, I've always appreciated what you've done and how you do things. So to close out now, on a personal side now, what's something that the audience who are listening doesn't know about you when it comes to all this that you do? I know you don't have no hockey. You don't have no hockey sliders.
I did do hockey sliders last year, actually. First time ever. I just to I was watching the NHL playoffs and I just got an itch, and so I didn't buy the NHL game, but I did the EA subscription, got the game for a month, and I just dove right in and I started making sliders. And got a little help from my guy Big Papa, who kind of just explained some things to me, and I ended up making some sliders and I posted them. And granted, I posted them at I posted them in June, right?
Yeah.
No, but there was a couple people played them and they gave good feedback. But I just, for those wondering why I don't do hockey sliders, or even MLB The Show, I'll address both of those. I don't do hockey because I just don't have the time. So college football comes out this year comes out the 2nd of July.
Yes.
I have a lot of content I got to make for that game, right? Gameplay sliders, progression sliders. You're going to do, wear and tear, precipitation, different. There's going to be several different videos I'm going to make that require a lot of time to spend making and testing. By the time I typically get those sliders built, Madden releases literally a month later. I have 4 weeks to make the content, then Madden releases. And I'll start making the same content for Madden. And a month after Madden releases, NBA 2K releases. Now, I do typically wait a little bit to make some content for NBA 2K, but I think I might not. But and I always waited because I want to wait to have it ready for opening night because I don't know how many people are going to get started until opening night on NBA 2K. So even if I only make a little bit of content for NBA 2K when it releases, typically we've had a patch we've had a college football patch, right? The big one, not the little tiny one, but we've had a big one. So I got to go back and remake some stuff for college football. And then by the time I get that remade because of the patch that impacted gameplay, guess what Madden dropped? A patch. And I got to go back and and people will say, hey, the gameplay's messed up. I got to go back and fix it. And I have that cycle where I'm back and forth on each game for about a month updating the sliders to go along with their patch schedule. So, and then in October, when I finally have a little bit of a break, is when I gotta dive in and go hard on NBA 2K. And so there's just no time when you factor NHL comes out in September too. There's just no time for me to keep up with Madden, keep up with college football, do 2K, and then also dive in and do NHL. And then this year's going to be even worse because GTA comes out in November. And so there's just no time for me there. And MLB The Show, I absolutely have time to make sliders for MLB The Show. It comes out in March, which is a very quiet time for me. Typically I'm working on my last slider set for Madden because people get ready to go, for the draft, have something ready to go in April. And I'll typically do one for college football if needed as well. I have plenty of time to make sliders for MLB The Show. I just stopped getting MLB The Show because the franchise mode just became stale and boring to me. The gameplay is excellent, but it's been excellent for the last decade, and there's not really anything that's changed enough for me to justify getting the game. And the time that it requires me to put in making sliders for a game that the franchise mode just isn't there for me, just the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So that's why I don't make sliders for both those games.
Makes sense. All right. Well, finally, what's success looking for? What's success looking like for your channel in the next 5 years?
So next 5 years, assuming I'm still doing it in 5 years, I would say having my YouTube plaque, which would be 100,000 subs. That would be ultimate success for me. So every single year I have gained more subs than the year prior, which is always successful. I hit 20,000 subs in August of last year. I am going to hit 25,000 subs very, very soon. I would like to hit it before college football releases. I have a feeling it's not going to happen though until college football releases. Last year, the first week that college football was out, my channel grew 2,000 subs. So I'm college football is the best time of year for me. I really hope that I'm at 30,000 subs by the end of the year. I think that'd be substantial growth. But yeah, for me, 5 years would be getting that YouTube plaque, getting to 100,000 subs. But the other way I think you'd be successful is if I don't hit 100,000 subs in the next 5 years, if I'm able to get myself into the EA Creator Network and get to go to their, this year they did their presentation in Chicago, and all Mills and Bordeaux and Bengal and Rayweather and these guys got to go out there and see everything before it was presented to us. They got to record videos, and they got to bring videos and put videos up on their channel, which is huge for channel growth. So if I'm unable to get to 100,000 subs, the getting to the point where I'm recognized enough and EA says, hey, we want you to be part of the EA Creator Network, that would be a huge, that would be instantaneous success for me.
That's definitely something to strive for sure. That's for. But again, we're here to help you. I'm here to help for sure. Anything that is needed, wanted, I'm here to definitely get you to that level. We all want success for sure. I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking the talk. Again, plug yourself, my friend. Go ahead. Let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on X, YouTube, Twitch, Sim Gaming Network. I live stream on all three and post uploads on YouTube and interact with every single person on all three platforms. So
That's it, my friend. Thank you very much for your time. And I can't wait to get my hands on the sliders and enjoy another great year of college football and Madden for 2026/2027. So thank you for your time, my friend. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to somebody else sometime soon. All right. Good night.